All right. Welcome back to another stream. I am Mike November Whiskey. We are in somewhere in Russia, Uniform Hotel Papa Papa, Yelizovo Airport, I believe. And we are finally, after 45 flights, making our way back to the United States for the first time since our first flight out of Newark. Super exciting. Our first stop in the States will be in old, I believe, Air Force Base, Erickson Airport. We'll read up on it a little bit once we're in cruise, but it is the closest island to where I am in Russia. That is within about 2 hours flight time, and we'll be kind of following the Alaskan islands back on our way to Anchorage, and then we'll head on down through Canada and then do our actual cross-country series of flights across the U.S. to kind of finish out this around the world journey. Super excited to be getting close to home, finally. This is also a really late stream for me. I got work in the morning, but it's like 10:20 at night East Coast time, and I'm really silly and stupid for doing this. I'm gonna be exhausted in the morning, but I just really wanted to sim tonight. It's just like an urge. I knew if I was in bed right now, I'd be like lying awake thinking about it. So better just to do it, get it done, have fun. The other thing you'll notice is that we are back in the fly-by-wire A32nx experimental build. We took a break from this plane for a few weeks while I prepared for Cross the Pond. I was training in the 787 Heavy Division mod, which is a great mod. They've done a fantastic job, but it is nowhere near as complete as the fly-by-wire. And honestly, I just missed all the detail that came with flying this plane. And of course, with the latest experimental build, we get things like VNAV, we get the new electronic flight bag. It's going to be awesome. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hit this ready to fly button. We're going to get this music queued away. And we're on a hill. We're on a slant. Yep, we are listing to the left. I'm very excited to see this airport in our rear view. Where am I even going to push back to? The runway is over there somewhere. All right, regardless, let's get to something's connected here. So let's get our stairs. Let's get some power. Catering and baggage. Just do this as real as we possibly can. Hey, Mo Daddy, welcome to the top of the stream. Yes, no, the scenery here is pretty awesome. And funnily enough, this is procedurally generated. This is not a custom airport. I did download a mod from flightsim.to, I think, to make the runways a bit more realistic here. But no, this is actually pretty epic and should be a lovely departure tonight. Let's hop inside. Let's get things rolling. Cold and dark status. Get that fly pad going. Oh, and before I forget, we should connect to vPilot, so we actually fly on the network. No ATC in the immediate area, but who knows, we may get lucky as we get closer to the US. And we are no longer in the... Just getting these parameters back in here. A32N, I think that should be the type code for the Neo. Let's see, Airbus. Interesting. All right, bear with me one second. I'm just going to quickly look up the type code for the 320neo. I completely forgot what it is. Do you guys remember? Is it A32N? The ICAO code? Oh, A20N. That's why I wasn't showing up. Hold on. A20N. There it is. Got it. Okay. All right. Connect to VATSIM. Let me get my flight plan downloaded and filed. Flight plan, load. Uniform Hotel Papa Papa to Papa Alpha Sierra Yankee. That's correct. All looks good. And file. Okay, so we are all in compliance with regard to VATSIM. All right, so cold and dark. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Oh, thanks, Mo Daddy. Yeah, the ICAO code for the A320neo is A20 November. What am I looking for? I don't even remember where the batteries are. Holy shit. This is embarrassing. There it is, right in the middle. The battery's going on. We got external power available, so we'll get that going. Nav and logo lights on because we're in here. Overhead lighting. It's starting to come back to me now. No smoking. Emergency exit lights, those can come on. Crew supply, ground control, and the IRSs, of course. Get those loaded up. We'll keep fuel pumps off because we're going to add some fuel. And we'll do our fire tests. Oh man, this feels good. It's been too long. And just make sure those still appear on the ECAM, and they do. And it's good to say ECAM again. That's been a while as well. And cargo smoke. And that's all good. And of course, at this point, we can get the APU started so we can unblock our boarding process. There we go. All right, so let's get these screens brightened up. Because it's a bit of a gloomy day, but not too gloomy here. Set to hectopascals, constraints come on. We'll set up the autopilot once we brief our departure. And of course, you know me, I like to turn off the co-pilot screens because why burn the pixels if there's no co-pilot on board? All right, taking a look here, we'll get the ECAM displays brightened up a bit. Got 7 minutes to align those IRSs. Landing gear is down, lever is down, indicating down. Anti-skid is on, the clock is correct. Brake pressure looks good. Let's hop over. The APU is almost spun up. Not fuel, sorry, what I'm looking for. Engine, oil quantity looks good. Hydraulics, we got the hydraulic fluid. And door page, cockpit oxygen, we got pressure. APU is available, so we'll get that bleed going. And we're unblocked for boarding, but we'll finish the cockpit setup first. So coming down here, transmitting on Unicom, that is fine. Thrust levers are functional in the idle position. Let's get these integrated lights spun up a bit. Weather system and predictive wind shear system is off. Engine masters are off. Engine mode is set to normal. We'll go ahead and squawk 1200. We'll just assume we'll be squawking the US code if we do get some ATC coverage. TCAS on standby and ATC on standby. That looks fine. All right, spoilers are disarmed and retracted. Cockpit doors open, flaps are up. Rudder trim is set to 0. Parking brake is on. And it's so good to see this console again. All right, coming to our electronic flight bag with the new OS that they have here. Let's import our SimBrief data and take a look at our weather real quick. So 11th of April, 2 Zulus, that is recent. We have winds 300 at 16 knots. You double meters per second to go to knots. Good visibility, scattered ceiling of 5600 broken. 4 degrees, dew point -8, QNH 1012. And of course, before we forget, let's get that QNH in there. There we go, 1012. Sweet. All right, everything looks good there. And just a preview of the weather, where we're heading. Looks like 6 statute miles. There doesn't seem to be a wind report. Interesting. Broken, scattered, broken, 3 dew point 2, and we're going back to altimeter settings. We've been in QNH for so long. That's going to be refreshing to switch that over. And that all looks fine. Looking at a route, taking off 3-4 left, and given the winds, that looks perfect. The Peru for Lima departure, and we'll brief our arrival once we're in the air. Okay, that looks good. Before I go further, I am going to get boarding started, because that will take a couple minutes. So weights and balances, let's get our request in. We have 152 folks departing Russia for the US today. I'm going to assume they're all diplomats. Let's pretend. Let's start boarding. And they're coming on. I have the boarding set to fast, so that shouldn't take too long. Let's take a look at our operating flight plan exactly. So fly-by-wire A32nx, sleep engines, that looks great. We are Alaska 9084 tonight. And we are crossing the international date line. Look at that. That'll be fun. All right, our alternate tonight is Pop Alpha Charlie Delta, which is, I think, even further up the Alaskan Island Trail. Cost index of 10, cruise flight level 25,000 feet, so pretty low. We'll see if there's a step climb in the plan. Turbopolis is pretty low as well, and we're going to have a headwind at 15 knots, which is going to make this a bit longer, but it's still going to be about an hour and 42 in the air, so that's not too bad. Let's look at some fuel. We know we're not expecting any serious weather, so this should be fine as is. And our alternate requires even more fuel than where we're going. So actually, we probably could have even chosen our alternate to be here, back in Russia. But we'll take this extra fuel. It's fine for a little bit heavier. All right. So yeah, let's get that fuel plugged in. 8757. Where's the fuel menu? Now, 8757, here it is. It's in pounds. We want kilograms. Interesting, interesting. Hold on. 8757. Well, let's pull in SimBrief. Okay, so it will convert for us. All right, that's useful. So we don't need to worry about the conversion. And we'll do real refuel time. 7 minutes, because it's a bit of extra fuel than we're used to carrying. Alright, so that looks good. Let's take a look at our flight plan in more detail. So there's our top of climb at the end of the SID. And okay, we are climbing to 390. There is a step climb. Maybe there's a SID restriction, but we'll take a look at that. But yeah, it's predicting a climb at Lumez up to 390, and that is our top of descent. Alright, let's take a look. Shear rates look pretty fine, maybe a little bit at Lumez, nothing to worry about. And we've already checked our weather on the other screen, so that's fine. I think that's good for the OFP for now. Let's brief some charts. So, we'll do our from airport first. And the SID, I've already forgotten what we need to find, but it's right, we come to this page here, the Piru for Lima. Ooh, boarding completed. Nice. Piru for Lima. Where is that? Here we go. Piru for Lima. Pin that. And let's take a look at this. So runway 34 to Papa 003. A nice sharp left turn. We'll see if there's a speed restriction for that turn. But then we'll cross over midfield.
From the flight deck. On behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight.
Forgot about this feature.
Wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to see final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming to the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Sweet. And we'll fly straight towards the Galactica Hotel Yankee VOR, or NDB rather. And then we'll follow the Piru for Lima to Piru, where we'll have to be at or above flight level 170. Let's see. This is a minimum climb gradient of 5.1%. So we'll take off flaps 1 for sure to make sure we can meet that steep gradient. It should be no problem for this plane. Ground speed in knots, feet per minute. Okay. That's a good reference. And let's see. Transition level 9,000. And we're fine, yeah. So it'll be 9,000 based on the current pressure. Oh, that's transition level. Transition altitude, 8,010 feet. And I'm not seeing speed restrictions. Not seeing speed restrictions. But maybe we'll keep it nice and slow for that turn. Maybe like 220 knots. That feels pretty good. Alright, that's good. Let's get our taxi chart loaded up. There's our 10-9. Should be pretty straightforward taxi. We are here. We'll be taxiing on Charlie, runway 34 left. So let's see if there are taxi restrictions for large aircraft. We may have to back taxi on the runway. Not seeing any. 45 meter width. But we will have to back taxi anyway, and there's no traffic around here, so I'll just back taxi the length, just to be safe. Okay, that's pinned, and I think that's all we need here. We're not going to do a safety brief because I do want to get some sleep tonight. So let's come back here, and I think that's fine. All right, let us go through the McDo now. IRSs are aligned, boarding is complete. Starting on the data page, let's look at the IRSs. They're all set to nav. AC status, LEAP engines are correct. We have the latest ARX cycle, that looks good. Heading to init A, make this a bit brighter. Let's pull in our flight plan from SimBrief. Alaska 9084, we are at Uniform Hotel Papa Papa. We're heading to Papa Alpha Sierra Yankee. Our alternate is Papa Alpha Charlie Delta. All looks fine, cost index is 10. Cruise is 250. I'm going to override that because we know we're ultimately going to 390. And the tropopause, that's a bit low relative to our OFP, so 28089. 28089, sorry, and I meant that's a bit high, so we want to make that. That's the trip average from the OFP, and I do trust that a bit more. All right, heading to the flight plan. Let's put in our departure because we know what it is. Runway 34 left. Doubting myself. 34 left, yes. And the Peru for Lima. Lima. Peru for Lima, yep. Plug that in. And let's take a look at that real quick. So there is that hard turn. It is going direct to that VOR, but it's assuming a tighter turn that will widen as we speed up. So we will probably still end up over midfield. But that looks correct to me. Hotel Yankee VOR, and then straight to our first checkpoint, Peru. So yeah, that looks good. So we'll go ahead and insert. Make sure there isn't any discontinuity or weird duplication. No, that all looks pretty contiguous. Fantastic. And we have some VNAV values as well. Cool. Alright, and we'll worry about the approach in the air. Heading to the RadNavs page, we'll want to put Hotel Yankee in there. Hotel Yankee, and that is an NDB. We want it 17 nautical miles from here. Perfect. And there it is. And we'll just activate that before I forget, because I always do forget. Alright, what is next? Init B page. Get our weights and balance. 58.3 is our zero fuel weights, and that matches the OFP, so I'm happy with that. And our block fuel, our fueling is done, so 8.8 is what I'll put in here. And we have a headwind tonight, so let's get that in there as well. 15 knots. Headwind 1.5. Let's get the remainder of our fuel data in as well. So contingency 0.5, 3.9, and 0.8. 0.5, 3.9, and 0.8. And that gives us exactly 0 extra time. But I'm not too concerned because we have plenty for our alternate. Imode, I'm so sorry to hear you're still having issues. I almost feel like guilty like playing the sim in front of you. I hope you don't mind. But that's really rough. Alright. Init B is done. Let's go to fuel prediction page. Have they fixed this? They have not, so we can't get center of gravity, at least the way I want to. But that is fine. Next up is performance. And I'm very excited to show you all this tonight. Let me just quickly add this awesome tool to your screen. Where is it now? There it is. All right, you should see it now. This, my friends, is SimSmart. And this is a tool that's been developed by EasyJet Sim Pilot and his father, I believe, who I think is a software engineer. And this claims to be probably the most realistic performance calculator we could use for the fly-by-wire A32nx. Really exciting. This is available for less than £10 on simsmart.uk if you're interested in taking a look. But let's go ahead and take this for a spin. I haven't actually used this yet. We can put in an airport code, and pull in the METAR. Retrieving airport Yellowzova, it looks correct. And runway 34 left. And we have the runway length there. Thanks for the lurk, sir. I'm still trying to figure out what lurking means. I know that means you're there, but you're going to be inactive for a bit, so that's all good. Sit back and relax, my friend. Get METAR. There's the METAR data we need. Runway conditions. I'm going to call it contaminated. Only toga is allowed on contaminated runway. That's probably fine, because I think there is snow on the ground over there. But let's just go through the motions here and see what it would have spit out if it was dry. Anti-ice, what was the... Oh, we're looking at the METAR here. There's no visible moisture outside. It is above freezing, so I'm going to say off. Take off weights for tonight. Hang to our OFP real quick for that data. 67 tons. Take off center of gravity. What did it say here on the fuel prediction page? 24.5. So that would be, yep, forward weights. Takeoff thrust, we'll want to do flex takeoff, climb thrust, configuration 1. Pax would be off, and calculate. An error has occurred. Oh no. Try a higher config. So we couldn't do config 1. Let's try config 2. We're getting errors here. Let's try config 3. Alright, so we'll have to do toga. Let's see if we can do configuration 1. And we can. There is our data. Interesting. So the runway is too short, 2,500 meters. I am just going to double check the chart to see if that is actually correct. Didn't seem that short. No, it's longer than that. It is longer than that. So I wonder why it is indicating that's too short. So let's take a look at the options. Yeah, let's manually input the runway length there. Yes, when auto fails. Okay. All right, we got to restart the application. SimSmart coming back up. All right, let's try that again. Thanks for bearing with me here. UHPP, okay. Retrieving airport data. Runway 34 left. Get METAR. And actually, I'm going to cross-reference the METAR just to make sure that it looks correct as well. 314 knots, outside air temperature 4 degrees. QNH 10. It says 1008. Interesting. So it is not entirely correct. But probably close enough. Oh, I see. It's pulling in the wrong number. It's pulling in... Interesting. It looks like it's just searching the text and it's pulling in the remarks, which is not correct. And that's probably what's causing the error. So let me actually put in the METAR data manually. So we'll have to restart it again. Last time. I'm sure they'll work all these kinks out. They're updating it constantly. All right. One last time. UHPP. 34 left. So, METAR data. Wind 300 at 16 knots. Outside air temperature is 4 hectopascals, 1012. Runway condition is dry, just for, experiment's sake. We know we're going to have to do toga. Anti-ice will be off. Takeoff weights will be 67 tons. Forward center of gravity. Flex takeoff configuration 1, air conditioning will be off. And runway length. Runway length, we're going to use the whole damn thing. So 34 left. Runway length is 3,400 meters. All right, calculate. It doesn't want to accept the fact that it's longer than what it thinks it is. All right, fine. Oh, it is just bugging out. And completely reset. All right, fine. We know we're going to do toga. I just want to make sure we can do toga with flaps 1. So we're going to try this one more time. Outside air temperature is 4 degrees. QNH. Wow, the air handling is just not good here. Sorry, Gavin. Oh my God. There we go. Runway conditions, dry, anti-ice off, takeoff weight, I think 6 to 7, something around there. Forward, flex, configuration 1, calculate. Wow. Gavin, this thing is bugging out, dude. It is bugging out. It is not liking what I'm trying to do to it. I'm going to try this one last time, and then otherwise I'm just going to say F it. We'll do contaminated. Toga is allowed. Yep, that's fine. Off. Takeoff weight 67. Center of gravity is forward. Toga. Configuration 1. Air conditioners are off. Yeah. It's just bugging out. Try the default settings. Alright, this will be the last time we try it. I feel like the more we try, the less success we're having. Okay. Uniform Hotel Papa Papa. Alright, it wants us to use configuration 2 in a contaminated runway. All right. Okay. I think that's the closest to data that we're going to get. So, flaps, configuration 2. And it doesn't give us our trim setting, but we'll just reference it here. We know center of gravity was like 24 something, so I'll just set that now. So we'll call it like 0.7 up. So up 0.7. We're not going to use flex. Transition altitude, that looks fine. Thrust reduction and acceleration altitude and engine out acceleration altitude are fine. It's 1500 above the airport. And we'll just have the sim calculate V speeds here and see how it compares. So it's a bit faster on V1. So I'll trust Gavin, and we'll see how this does. 123, 126, and 132. So a rough first go at this calculator. I think a number of factors were kind of working against it, but we are finally done with the pre-flight, and I'm going to shut this thing down because we don't need it anymore. All right, so last thing we got to do is just do some checklists. Make sure we've covered everything. So a cockpit preparation. So we are not at this point yet because we need to get the tug attached. So, and the APU is on, so let's get the fuel pumps on, seatbelt signs on, external power off. And now let's call the tug. It's pre-planned. This pushback is going to be a bit wonky because of how we're positioned. We effectively just want to push back straight and maybe angle a little bit to the right there just so we can miss all the ground crew. So we'll just do something like that. Okay.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
All right, the other thing we didn't do yet is the, there go the stairs. Prepare the autopilot. So we'll want to be,
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed.
17,000 is the initial climb out.
Equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft.
17,000, getting that in the box. And we'll want to pre-select our
Okay,
speed.
cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
We'll do 220 through the turn. Okay. Releasing the parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
Gear pins, fuel quantity, seatbelts, aiders, bow ref is set. Before start checklist, parking brake is disengaged, takeoff speeds and thrusters set to idle. Windows closed, beacon is coming on. And let's get engine 2 started. Ignition. This hill's going to be an issue, but we'll work around it.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Parking brakes set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Ground. You may disconnect.
Okay, sir. Clear to disconnect. Pin has been removed. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
Your life vest is in a pouch under your seat.
All right. Waiting for a good engine start there. Engine 2 is started. Engine 1 start.
All exits are clearly marked with a sign overhead. If necessary, floor level lighting will illuminate the gas to help us find the exit. Please take a moment now to locate your closest exit and remember it may be behind you.
Take a look at this lovely Alaska livery. I've flown Alaska a lot back in the day, especially when I was living on the West Coast, and it is a lovely airline. Even before the Delta acquisition, it was just a pleasure to fly. Go ahead and lock the door. Hearing the cabin crew voice is actually a great reminder to do that. Alright, we have 2 good engine starts. We'll get engine mode back to normal, get the APU bleed off, and we can turn the APU off. At this point, let's get ourselves set up for taxi. So it's a little dark out there, so we'll get the taxi lights on and the runway turn-off lights on. Get our strobe set to auto. Overhead looks good. We'll also want set our flaps to take off, so flaps 2, confirmed. Set ATC to auto. And I think that's good for now. The other thing we actually want to do is adjust our sight picture, because we are not really centered over the seats. So actually remember, in the camera options, I actually like to offset by 2 and zoom in a little bit. I think 62, is that the way we liked it? That looks good. That looks good to me. Alright, so that's a better sight picture. And alright, so let's do our after start checklist. Anti-ice is not required. ECAM status checked. Pitch trim is set. Rudder trim is neutral. Mark checklist is complete. Let's check our flight controls. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Full down. Full up. Neutral. Rudder disconnect. Full left. Full right. And neutral. Flap setting is set. Radar predictive. We'll do this on our way out. Engine mode is selected. And ECAM memo will do as we roll out. So, alright. I think we are just about ready to go. Just do these last few checks here. Arm the spoilers. Thank you, ECAM. And I think we can start rolling. Let's do it. We'll have to do a hard turn out of here. Parking brake is released. And with the new modeling, we actually do move under our own power, which is rather realistic for the fly-by-wire. So good on them. Are we going? Oh, we are going up this hill. Is our wing actually going to clear? Or will it just clip through? It's going to clip through. That's fine. Oh no, it did clear it. Wow, look at that. That was incredibly dangerous. Alright, just going to get over this hill. The challenging taxi. Oh. Joystick of mine is still a pain in the butt. It just often sticks. Alright, we're now on this very hard to see taxiway. But thankfully the lights look pretty good. I don't know if that's stock or if that's a part of the improvement mod that I downloaded from flightsim.to. I'm going to turn the EFB off for now to see if that improves frame rates. Yeah, it did a little bit. I think it helped with the stutter. It's an easy SID, so I'm not going to need to reference the charts again. But this might be a nice photo moment. Just stunning views here. See on that center line. I think that's center, right? Just about, yeah. It's going through the altitude tape. Alright, so this is Bravo. We'll actually take... Let's take Charlie as far down as we can. Actually, I'm not sure if the wings would clear that building there. So we'll play it safe. We'll take the runway, back taxi. While we're rolling, let's get the weather system, predictive wind shear system on. Hold on, this looks like a runway. Yeah, that's the closed runway. This is the runway we want. So let's hold short here. That was poorly signed. So let's get our final checks going before we take the runway. ECAM memo, takeoff, no blue. Takeoff runway is confirmed, TCAS, TIRA, and we'll do PAX once we're on the runway. Yellow's over traffic, Alaska 9084 is back taxiing runway 34 left, Yellow's over traffic. Alright, let's take the runway. Alright. And we'll pick up the pace here since this is an active runway. There is no traffic in the area, but better to be safe. Alright, we're officially doing a high-speed taxi. Those thrust levers back to idle as we roll towards the end here. Get our glare shield brightened up a bit. All looks good. This is going to be a glorious takeoff, just with the scenery around here. It looks absolutely awesome. We're pulling about 35 frames per second ultra settings on a 3080 Ti, which on the fly-by-wire mod is actually pretty good for ground frame rate. We'll get more if we go outside. So out here, let's give it a while to adjust. We are getting, oh, not that much more really. We're getting 40 frames per second, 41 on the exterior. But that will go up once we're in the air. Alright, coming up on the back of the runway here, there should be a turnout. It looks like it's here on the right. It's hard to see with the snow, but there it is. So just come over here. Slow it down a bit. We want to get under 10 knots to do a sharp turn here, and the goal is to maximize full use of this runway. And turn and line up. That was pretty good. Runway 34 left confirmed. Get those packs off. We'll be doing toga thrust. Yellow Zovo traffic, Alaska 9084 taking off runway 34 left. Yellow Zovo traffic. Alright friends, take off. And 1 to 50%. Stable. Mantoga SRS runway. .100 knots. V1. Rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Flaps 1. Approaching acceleration altitude. Pitch down, gain some speed. Speed checked, flaps up. Engage the autopilot. It should be indicating thrust climb at this point. I don't know why it's not, but I will put it back to climb thrust. Thrust climb. Spoilers disarmed. Get those packs back online. We will watch for indications of ice. As we go through these clouds, we'll probably well, we'll see. We shall see. Alright, so let's do our after takeoff checks. Oh, it's not on here. Okay. no problem. We'll do it on my paper checklist here. Landing gears up, flaps are retracted, packs are on, bow ref is set. After takeoff checklist is complete. Yeah, and we're getting 54 frames per second as we depart here. Coming on this turn, they're predicting, the VNAV is predicting our top of climb here, which is pretty incredible. We are past transition altitude, so we'll go ahead, go to standard pressure. And once we clear this turn, we will go to manage speed. Alright, we are turning. Some last views of Russia. Could not be further away from geopolitics out here in this part of Russia. Alright, 10,000 feet checks. Yeah, I never turned the landing lights on. So, apologies for missing that, but landing lights are off and retracted. Out of practice, my friends. We'll go to airport now. Alright, so I guess we didn't need to be on speed restriction because we are not even going to make midfield. So we'll go to manage speed now. Accelerating to 290 knots for our climb. Breaking through the clouds. Look at that. Lovely. Alright, so we'll continue our climb per our flight plan to 250. Oh, JJ, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Manage altitude up to 250. Thrust climb, climb. As you can see, we'll be flying over the airport in a few moments on our way to the Hotel Yankee NDB. But I don't think we'll be able to see the airport, unfortunately, because we are just in the soup at the moment. Oh, but look at that reveal. That is fantastic. And will we get lucky? Actually, maybe. River. Yeah, not seeing the airport. Oh, it's still in front of us. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's 3-4 left. That's where we just took off. Pretty cool. Pretty cool shot. These clouds, man. Never get tired of them. Yeah, right? JJ knows. Alright. So that is our new top of climb right at Hotel Yankee. We'll get to 25,000 feet. We'll be at that altitude through the rest of the SID. And then we'll want us to climb again at Lumez. So we'll be at 25,000 feet for a bit. Still don't fully understand why. I think it may have something to do with the fact that Lumez is right before the boundary with the Anchorage Center. That's kind of when we leave Russian airspace. I don't know. I don't entirely know the reason, but we'll follow the flight plan and just increase our altitude to 390 once we pass Lumez. So actually, so we don't forget the progress page, I'm going to put in Lumez here, just so we could track when we can expect to get there. About 309 miles. Can actually get a wider view on our ND. And Piru is the end of our SID, and that's where we want to be at 25,000. We're going to be there well in advance. Yeah, it really is. JJ, have you played Microsoft Flight Sim? Are you a simmer yourself? That looks pretty good, friends. That looks pretty good. Speed alt star, we are at 25,000 feet. So that was pretty quick. Rise up to cruise. Let me brighten up these displays a bit because the sun is kind of intense. Get a wider view. Let's see the path ahead of us. There's Lumez. And just checking our flight plan. There's top of climb. We're well in advance of it. Top percent is right after. Decel point. So we haven't actually put in our arrival information yet. Our last waypoint is the Sierra Yankee Alpha. I'm assuming that's a VOR. So we'll want to look at our approach options for Papa Alpha Sierra Yankee. Oh, look at that moon. Oh boy. This is going to be our view for most of the trip. Play ATS. I'm not familiar with ATS. Alright, so we're going to do some early prep of our charts here. Pin charts, we can go ahead and clear these. Don't need those anymore. And back to Navigraph, our to airport. We'll get the airport chart here. We'll take a closer look at it when we're closer, but it's a very simple airport. And this is the whole island. It's basically just the airport. We'll read up on the history of Erickson Air Base. But I'm sure it's interesting because it's the closest runway of requisite length I could find to where we were in Russia. There are no stars. It's all kind of straight-in approaches, I guess. And there is an ILS runway 28. There's no ILS for runway 10. So I am really hopeful that the winds are in our favor. And let's take a look, actually. Invalid or no METAR available. We did get the METAR before. Oh, American Truck. Oh, nice. I have a few followers that are really into the truck sim. Alright, so I put in a command. If you do exclamation point METAR in the chat and put in an airport code, so PASY. Let's see if we can get METAR data. Well, that didn't work. Let's try this command. There we go. So this is from a few hours ago, so it's not current. There's no wind information. Interesting. 1,000-foot ceilings. 6 statute mile visibility. But concerning that there's no wind information. Alright, well, we'll make an assumption. What does our flight plan say? Our flight plan was going to choose which runway? Runway 10. Of course, that's the one without the ILS. So let's just make an executive decision, make this easier for us, and do ILS runway 28. This will require us to probably vector around. Yes, because this is our last waypoint, Sierra Yankee Alpha. So at that point, we'll keep the discontinuity. We'll just vector ourselves around. Looks like missed approach does a left turn. So we'll do a left downwind, turn left base, and then final. And we'll do that at FAMDA. So that'll probably be our transition point, initial approach fix. So let's get that all programmed in now, so we don't need to worry about it later. So put in the arrival, ILS runway 28, no stars available, no transitions available. Okay, so I should just put in all those waypoints. And let's take a look. So, SIA MOE, what is that? So it didn't put in FAMDA. We'll probably want FAMDA. Okay. Speed limitation, interesting. So let's put in FAMDA. I think if I click EMOE, it'll go right before it. There we go. Just calculating all the VNAV calculations there. Saying a flight level of 105. It seems high. No, yeah, we'll want to be at 3,000 by FAMDA, so we won't use the VNAV, because the VNAV will not be accurate. Which is to be expected, honestly. It's a very obscure airport with a very obscure approach. But we'll brief that later on. The next most important thing is our top of descent. So we know we want to get to 3,000 by FAMDA. So let's go to our calculators here. We will be at 39,000 feet. We will be at... let's just think. That's going to be slow, but we want to target 3,000. 3-degree down angle. That seems about right, honestly. So we'll do it 120 miles out, just to be safe. Give us a good view of the airport as well as we fly over it. And we're going to compare this with the predicted top of descent. So we're going to go to our flight plan. We're going to go to fix info. We're going to put in FAMDA, which is where we want to be at 3,000. FAMDA. And radius of 120. So this is kind of like a backup top of descent in case the calculated top of descent doesn't make any damn sense. So we can't see it on the ND yet because we're too far away, but it will be there once we get a bit closer. Oh, I should pin that chart as well for reference. So approach, ILS, runway 28. Cool. That's pretty good for now. The next task will be in about 240 miles when we pass Lumez. That's when we will clear ourselves up to 39,000 feet. I'm going to take this opportunity just to take a quick look at Volanta. So Volanta is a pretty cool tool I use to track all my routings, all my flights. So this is the active flight here. You can see in 3 dimensions our departure profile. We kind of ascended to 17,000 feet initial, made that hard turn towards that VOR, and then direct to Peru, which we just passed, and that's the end of our SID. That's also the end of land. So now we are over the ocean for the duration of this flight as we make our way to Ericsson Air Station. What's cool about this tool is that it syncs with VATSIM. So if I zoom out enough, we can see planes all over the world that are currently flying on the virtual ATC network known as VATSIM. And we could see different ATC centers that are online. It's a Sunday night. It's pretty quiet. There's a few centers online in the US, but pretty quiet around the world. Everyone is working on a Monday, I guess. But what's nice, as we do more flights closer to the US, as I do more flights in the Eastern time zone, we're going to get way more ATC coverage going forward, which is going to be awesome. We can practice our radio calls and IFR procedures, but for now we'll just stay as true as we can to those without proper ATC coverage. And if we go over to the flights tab, you can see the flights that I have tracked. I wish I did this from the very beginning because we'd be able to see my entire route around the world, but instead we just have a few handful of flights that I've been able to track. So this one you see here, this big one from Amsterdam to Boston, this was from the VATSIM Across the Pond event from just over a week ago. That was a unique twice-a-year event where 1,000 pilots and over 200 air traffic controllers log on to the VATSIM network and control flights over the Atlantic following not just IFR procedures domestically, but oceanic procedures over the North Atlantic nat tracks, which is pretty awesome. It was an amazing experience. Definitely look forward to doing the next one in the fall, which will take us from North America to Europe eastbound. But that's what that flight was, and use Volanta to track that. But for our around the world journey, I only started using Volanta to track these flights one flight ago. I did a test flight in Australia when we were down there, but we're only going to be able to track our point-to-point routing from here on out, starting in Sapporo, and then as we make our way back home. So that is a quick tour of Volanta there. The other track cool statistics, like when we land, it will show my landing rate for all to critique. It's been pretty poor lately, but we'll see if we can redeem myself today. But that is that. Alright, so while we got some time, actually, wow, look at these layers. I'm going to hop outside for a sec, actually. This is pretty wild. That's really dynamic weather. But this is almost to be expected as well, right? So, if you recall from our flight plan, the tropopause was about 28,000 feet. The tropopause is the altitude at which you would expect weather to stop. Pretty much above tropopause is like you wouldn't get weather, you wouldn't get clouds. It's basically, I guess, I think the best way to describe it, it's the upper limit for where you would expect to be breaking through cloud layers or weather systems. And since we are at 25,000 feet, the tropopause is still above us. It's 3,000 feet above us, give or take, and that is why we still see this cloud layer above. But once we cross 28,000, we would expect it to all be beneath us for the duration of the flight. And actually, the flight plan at the bottom, through all this gibberish, has nifty maps that illustrates various aspects of our flight. And the vertical profile, which is the last one here, actually gives you a sense of where the tropopause is. So here you can see our ascent profile. So we're at 25,000 feet here. At Lumez, we will then climb to 39,000 feet. And I believe this dotted line here is the tropopause level throughout the flight. And it is dynamic, right? It does change depending on where you are. But looks like, according to this, the average trouble pause is 28,000, according to the flight plan. Or maybe that's the minimum trouble pause. But when we cross it, it will be a little over 30,000 feet. So we may expect to see clouds until that layer. And that's why we're seeing these crazy weather patterns here. It's pretty nuts. All right, I was distracted. I was actually going to talk about Ericsson Air Station. So let me pull up some information on this place because I think it's pretty interesting. All right, Ericsson Air Station, formerly Shemya Air Force Base, is the United States Air Force military airport located on the island of Shemya in the Alaskan Aleutian Islands. It was closed as an active Air Force station on July 1st, 94, but it's still owned by the Air Force and is operated by the Air Force for refueling purposes. It also serves as a diversion airport for civilian aircraft, so we're pretending that we're diverting there tonight. Used to host a series of pretty large radar installations. So it's located on the western tip of Alaska's Aleutian Islands near the larger island of Attu, and it's 1,500 miles southwest of Anchorage. So it'll still be a few flights before we get to Anchorage. Airport lies on the south side of the 2-mile by 4-mile island. So to give you a sense of scale, I think Manhattan is about 12 miles long and about 2.5 miles wide at its widest. So this is like roughly a third of Manhattan Island. Scene of a few earthquakes. Let's see. Interesting. So in '93, Shemya Air Force Base was renamed Ericsson Air Station. Colonel William Ericsson, who's the namesake, personally led all of the difficult missions against the Japanese in World War II, which were located on 2 other Aleutian islands, Kiska and Attu. Ericsson also helped plan the successful retaking of Attu. During the bombing campaigns, he introduced low-level skip bombing and forward air control procedures long before they became common practices in other war theaters. So I actually never knew that we're fighting World War II made it as far north as the Aleutian Islands. And they actually constructed the original runway for the war. They basically built the 10,000-foot runway for B-24 bombers. So with the successful completion of the Aleutian campaign, the 11th Air Force came within striking distance of the Japanese Kurile Islands. Let's see. Wow, actually, this article is really long. There's a lot of history with this island. I'm curious what happened after World War II. Oh, here we go, post-war era. So with the exception of a small station housekeeping unit, Shemya was abandoned after World War II. The island was littered with abandoned Army and Navy aircraft wrecks and deteriorating station structures. Abandoned vehicles, warehouses, rations, clothing. They just left it behind. So however, the Air Force decided to retain Shemya because its location provided an ideal refueling stop on the Great Circle route from Japan to McCord Field in Washington State. It was extensively used during the Korean War, which makes sense. by the military air transport services. Oh, well, we're going to barrel through this cloud at 25,000 feet. That's kind of nuts. So in later years during the 70s through the 90s, passenger and cargo service into the airfields operated by Revolution Airways, flying Lockheed L-188 Electra turboprops and Boeing 727s, with service to and from Anchorage, via several intermediate stops at other locations in the Aleutian Island chain. Cold War. All right, this is what I was looking for. I had a feeling its proximity to Russia would yield some interesting history. So in 1958, the Air Force resumed operations on Shemya in support of various Air Force and Army strategic intelligence collection activities. Shemya continued to support the Great Circle routes. Let's see. Became a strategic air command refueling site for B-52s. They would have the tankers rotated to Shemya, where they were refueled prior to taking off and refueling the loitering B-52s over Alaska, which would loiter outside the Soviet Union to provide rapid first strike or retaliation capability in case of nuclear war. Goodness gracious. So nuclear weapons transited through this airport in its history. Yeah, and its primary use became a radar installation site, I guess, for surveillance for the airspaces around Russia. Yeah, and use it for ballistic missile tracking as well. Goodness. Ah, here's a fun fact. So it's as I mentioned before, its current use is for diverting aircraft. So in 2018, so not too long ago, a Delta Airlines flight 128 from Beijing to Seattle diverted to Erickson Air Station after pilots were alerted to a potential engine issue. The diverted plane was a Boeing 767, spent about 12 hours at Erickson before being ferried back to Seattle. Delta sent a replacement B767 from Seattle to pick up the passengers, which landed at Erickson Air Station later that day. So maybe we should have flown Delta tonight. That would have been fun. Recreate that. But yes, friends, that is the Erickson Air Station history. And that is our destination tonight. Let's take a look to see when are we expected to get there. We're expected to get there at 4:58 Zulu, so just over an hour from now. But once we get up to 39,000 feet, we should get a bit more speed, and hopefully that will come down a bit. But yeah, late night, friends. Late night. Alright, come on, Lumez in 160 miles. You can see our fake top of descent marker kind of coming up here. I found the VNAV top of descent in the latest experimental tends to delay top of descent a bit too much. So we'll manage our own descent beginning at that point. So we're not going to spend all that much time at 39,000 feet. Cool, so let's take a look at the ECAM a bit more closely. Let's do some cruise checks here. Yeah, PSI is still way too high. I don't think they're modeling that yet. The cabin pressure looks good. Yep, plenty of fuel still. Comfortable in the cabin. Let's go to the cruise page here. Perfect. Turning off the NDB because we don't need it anymore. Clear the RadNav page. Keep that nice and tidy. So if you're interested in referencing the route we're flying tonight, you throw in a command in chat as well. Think !routes. And there it is. Pretty simple routing tonight. Just with that step climb to 39,000 after Lunes. Let's turn off the seatbelt sign at this point. Folks can roam around if they want. Thanks, Mo Daddy. Yeah, no, sorry, I was zoning out because I'm watching the weather just go a little nuts. I'm trying to figure out what's happening, and I realized I was not actually expressing my inner monologue. We just went from a 30 knot rear cross tailwind to now a 20 knot headwind. And it flipped back and forth a few times. And I think we're approaching the international date line as well, so I think the sim is just trying to adapt to changing METAR information, but I don't know, sorry, I was totally in the moment there. We're about 4 minutes away from getting up to 39,000 feet and getting to clearer skies, I think. It's on the western end of the Aleutian Islands. So yes, it's technically part of Alaska, but like couldn't get any further west. If you hop over to Volanta, see there's Papa Alpha Sierra Yankee, and it's the very end of the Alaskan Aleutian Islands. So the next few flights will be tracking up the Aleutian Islands on our way to Anchorage. Yeah, I think the next 3 flights will be in Alaska. I think this is Erickson Air Station where we're heading tonight. It's about 1,500 miles from Anchorage, and we're doing about 500 miles a flight. So no, we gotta be doing more than that actually. Maybe like 600, 650. Alright, let's get our next altitude into the box, 39,000 feet. We'll begin our ascent as we cross Lumez in about 2.5 minutes. Then as we get our way up there, that puts us about 40 minutes away from arrival, so we'll do our arrival briefing. Nice. Alright, well at least you got X-Plane. You have at least the true sim on your system now. Yeah, I was thinking about checking out X-Plane when X-Plane 12 comes out, hopefully later this year. But there's some fun things coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator, in the not too distant future. I think there's a pretty solid Boeing 737 coming to the sim. And there is a long-haul Airbus that is being developed off the back of the fly-by-wire 320. It's a few versions behind, but it's an Airbus 350. And I've been meaning to check out the Salty 747. So there's plenty to keep me busy in Microsoft for now. But we'll see. I think when I get back into GA flying, and get more serious about my own PPL training, that's probably when I'll start flying GA aircraft and X-plane. That probably feels like the way to go. Alright, so we're crossing Lumez. Let's get up there, folks. 39,000 feet. Climb. Don't know why I've lost my... I should say thrust climb here, but... engines look fine, though. Yeah, it's really a trade-off, right? Because you're right. For VFR flying, Microsoft is awesome because it just looks so realistic. But X-plane has the better flight models and the more complete aircraft. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're on the same page. I think also X-plane. So I want to train in a Cirrus. That is the goal. It's an expensive goal, but that is the goal. I think X-plane has probably the best custom SR22 simulation. The one in Microsoft is fine, and the G1000 they've modeled pretty well. But I think the SR22 in the X-plane sim is probably the most authentic. Yeah, and X-plane 12 looks like it might bridge the gap pretty significantly into the visual department. Yeah. All right, here's our new top of descent. Sorry, top of climb rather, for 39,000 feet, and top of descent is getting all wonky. But again, we're not going to follow VNAV on the way down. We're going to use this radius that I put in here to mark our top of descent to get down to 3,000 feet for our final approach. Alright, so since we're on our way up, and I think it's showing we're coming in a bit later, but we will pick up some time since we are increasing our speed as we get higher. We can start briefing our arrival. So pretty straightforward approach plate here. Let's expand this so we can see it better. So we're going to cross the Sierra Yankee Alpha VOR, and we'll want to come out oh, that's an interesting option actually. So just looking at this approach procedure, we could still fly direct to FAMDA, but just execute a hold, but then come out of the hold and be straight in. We could be fancy and try that. Use it as an excuse to try the hold feature. So let's do that. Let's do that. So let's plan to hold at FAMDA. Let's make sure that this looks correct. So it's a right turn hold. It is, and what is the inbound course is the other direction though. Inbound course is 284. So let's get 284 in. And let's take a look at the plan. Yeah, that looks correct. So insert the hold. And then when we do our first return on the hold, we'll just go straight in on our ILS. And how far away is that hold? So it's 19 miles. So we can start configuring once we're on the straight in. I like that. I like that plan. We want to be at 3,000 at FAMDA, 2,500 at MOE, and then 1,700 to intercept the glide slope at Aruki. Right, so straight in, ILS minimums, 200 on the radio. I'll make sure that the ILS frequency is in the rad nav, and we want to get Shemya in there as well. Alright, so let's set things up. RadNav ILS is in there, 110.1. That's correct. And Sierra Yankee Alpha for that VOR. Awesome. We'll turn that on so we don't forget later. Fuel prediction looks good for our destination, less so for the alternate, but that's fine. We're not going to use it. What else did I want to check here? Performance. Not performance, sorry. Here, I'm just going to clear this. And let's put in... I already forgot what runway we're going into. 28, right? Runway 28. So Papa Alpha Sierra Yankee 28. Did you get that backwards? No, that's good. Cool. What else do we want to do? We want to do... Well, let's get the latest METAR information, if it's available. Weather request. We'll clear the Russian one. And we won't worry about the alternate. We'll just get it for Papa Alpha Sierra Yankee and send. I just picked the airports because this is definitely not a real world route. Once we get back into the States, I'm going to try to be a bit more meticulous in doing real world flights. The realism from this one is just coming from the procedures. Oh, did I hit? No, I haven't looked at it yet. So, return, receive messages, no messages yet. We'll wait for that company message to show up. Company message, METAR, no METAR available. Fantastic. Fantastic. I'm going to try it in chat. So in chat, if you type in VMETAR and then the airport, what do we get? Oh, it's older, but yeah, it's still the same one. That's the one we'll have to use. What is my profile picture? I haven't actually seen it in a while. I think it should be me. Oh yeah, that is me. From a past life. What did I want to do? Alright, so we have old METAR information, but we'll use it anyway. Progress, sorry, performance, next phase. That's fine. Next phase. And next phase. Approach. So, interesting. It's been so long since I've flown in the US. It says QNH, but can I put in? Do I need to convert it? Let me see what happens when I put in 2974, which is the altimeter setting. Will it accept it? Yeah, oh, it did. Okay, perfect. So it does accept both. It's just smart enough to know the difference. We have here 3 degrees. We don't have wind information, so we're just going to do our best there. Transition altitude 18,000 feet. That is universal in the United States. That's nice and easy. And radio minimums 200. Visibility is going to be 6 statute miles, so it should be fine. It's not going to be perfect. And we'll double check the runway length. It's plenty long enough. It's 10,000 feet. If we go to our charts. I was a guitarist. Terrible singer, but decent guitarist. I now work in tech, much more chill vocation, I guess. All right, 10,000 feet, nice and long. 10,000 feet is what in meters? So about 3,000 meters. Okay. Ah, thank you. Yeah, it was a fun time of my life. I definitely have no complaints about it. Haven't performed in a while. I think the last time I performed was the week before my first son was born, and that is now over 5 years ago. Alright, so, okay, so now it's predicting on top of the descent here. We're going to start descending a bit earlier than that, just to be on the safe side. Alright, it's going to get real pretty soon. About 70 miles top of descent. Oh, congratulations! Are you a musician as well, I'm assuming, or you're looking to learn? Oh, awesome! So you're just getting started. That's fantastic. I always, whenever I meet folks that say, oh, I'm not musical, or it's too late for me to, I'm like, no, bullshit. You could learn to play anything at any time. That's awesome to hear. Are you planning to take lessons, or are you going to try YouTube? Yeah, I mean, you definitely regress a bit if you don't play in a while, but you never fully lose what you've learned. It comes back faster than you probably imagine. I had my dad over earlier today, and we just got a small drum kit for my 3-year-old. And it's the first drum kit I'd seen my dad play in probably decades. But even though it's a tiny kit, again, for a 3-year-old, it just came back to him. Like, he picked up the sticks, he started drumming, and it's like he hasn't skipped a beat. Pun intended. Alright, looks like we're getting to the top of climb just in time for our top descent. Yeah, I think it intimidated the hell out of my son. I think after that he was less enthusiastic about playing in front of him. It was very cute. Alt star. Alt cruise. Oh, nice. So that's the added speed has cut off some time for the rest of the flight. So we'll get there in just about half an hour.
We've just reached our cruising altitude for the flight. As it begins to settle in, I do want to remind you to please keep your feet and elbows clear from the aisle as the flight attendants will be coming through the cabin with galley cards shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating with the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
Like the shortest cruise ever. That step climb was so strange. But as you can see, we are above the tropopause and all the clouds are now beneath us. For some reason we're tracking a bit faster than our program cruise speed, but that's fine. Not complaining. Just as long as we don't get into the red there. Let's see here. It's interesting, that's still creeping up a little bit. Some of the inter-destination data I already did, but you know, it probably doesn't like the fact that I didn't put in wind. Let's check the OFP, see if there's any wind information in what we pulled in here, even if it's just approximate. Destination. Oh, okay, there is some wind information. 80 at 12, 60 at 9. So what time is it? It's the 11th. And it is about 4:30 UTC. So yeah, 6 at 9. We'll put in that. Even though it is just a prediction. So 60 at 9. And for runway 28, yeah, it's a bit of a tailwind, but not, no, it's just more of a crosswind. And it's light, so that runway is fine. Alright, let's get ready for top of descent. Just over 20 miles to go. And we're picking up the VOR. Cool, Mo Daddy. See you in a bit. I'll need to look. I don't know what the Streamlabs response is all about. Presuming feels bad, man, may have been an emoji or something. I'll edit that. I don't know what the strange response there is. Alright, let's get 3,000 into the box here. Seatbelt signs on. Alright, let's get down. Descending. Oh, but you know what? We don't want to do managed descent. We want to do open descent. Because the VNav is probably not going to work. But our throttle is not seemingly working.
From the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen, as you may have noticed, we have begun our initial descent down to our destination. Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for approach. If you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated until the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
Oh, this is a problem. Why are we not descending? Oh, the auto throttle was disengaged. That was weird. Our open descent throttle. That's so strange. Alright, well, thrust is pulling back now and we are starting to descend. And since we're expecting to hold, we should have plenty of time. So I was probably burning a lot more fuel. Hence the fuel warnings. And the fuel prediction page is still a bit messed up. Alright, no worries. We are back in business. Alright, we will go to a local QNH as well. And we're back in degrees Mercury. So the latest METAR information we had for the destination, 2974. That's a pretty healthy descent rate. Let's say we'll get to 3,000 before the hold point, which is just fine. Approaching that tropopause level again, so we'll be passing through clouds. And looking at the METAR that we have, it looks like low ceilings are at 1,000, so we may not get a great view of the airport on the way in. We'll see how it goes. Hey, Pentagon, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. You've joined us on our descent into Erickson Air Station in the Aleutian Islands on the west end of Alaska. We'll be doing an ILS approach, non-VNAV, because I don't trust the VNAV yet, but we are in the fly-by-wire A320 experimental build tonight. Had some turbulence there. Still tracking pretty well to get to our desired altitude. The plan is we'll enter a hold at FAMDA, and on the inbound course we will activate the approach, configure, and just go straight in for the ILS. Let's see. Oh, that must be A2, I'm guessing. That is that is gnarly, this view. Jeez. That's wild. Just hop over to Volanta real quick. We can take a closer look. Yeah, so that is A2 Island that we're flying over. I wonder if this could have been a good alternate airport. Well, you can't even see the runway on this. Navy Town, that's cute. But yeah, no, there we are. We are going here to Erickson Air Station. Runway 28. So let's see. We can do our approach checklist at this point. Briefing is confirmed. ECAM status is checked. Landing distance is confirmed. We'll do low braking. Seatbelts are on. Bow RF is set. Minimums are set, and engine mode is selected to a normal. Approach checklist complete. Just see. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Auto brake is set, engine mode select is set to normal. That is definitely a shorter landing checklist than I'm used to, but actually it's only missing 3 items. Alright, passing a transition level here. Next checks will be at 10,000 feet. Set our TCAS to below, although there is no traffic around here, but it's fine. It's fine. We're still connected to the VATSIM network, so we'll do our radio calls. See the latest estimates for arrival right before the top of the hour. This definitely looks like storm clouds. We should watch for icing. The latest temperature we had was 3 degrees Celsius. About 20 miles from the airfield. We'll be going about 20 miles beyond it to line up for the approach. Alright, we should be good on the icing front. We're going into above freezing temperature now. But we'll see. Take one last look at the chart. Just want to make sure there's no speed restrictions to be aware of. That's not the one we want. We want this one. Oh yeah, no, we're fine on speed restrictions. You actually take this hold at a pretty fast clip below 10,000 feet. So I wonder if the 250 knot speed restriction applies. We'll adhere to it, but it's interesting to see that. Maybe other high-performance planes or jet fighters, other military planes can take the faster speed on the hold. Ah, and look, there is we could see the runway. That's actually lovely. It's a lovely view. 10,000 feet, landing lights are coming on. Set to constraint. TCAS set to below. Oh, looks good to me. Interesting, we haven't slowed to 250 knots. Very interesting. Speed limit exceeded. Yes, that's what I thought too. It's saying managed 288. All right, well, we should probably slow down. So let's get into speed mode here. We'll slow ourselves down 250 knots. And we'll go back to manage speed once we are ready for approach mode. That's a pretty cool shot. Hello, Erickson Air Station. Good to see you. We'll see you shortly. All right, there's our hold coming up. Icing. These cloud layers are nuts. Speed alt star. Take a look at the flight plan real quick just to see if the VNAV looks sensical. It does. It does. It has us at 1,700 feet to intercept, so we may go back to VNAV. Set hold speed. Did we not? Oh, 212. Well, fine. We'll go to managed. We'll do it on its own. We just checked what the missed approach looks like here. 3,000 feet. Okay, so that's what we'll put in the glare shield. We're ready. Anti-ice detected. All right. Do probe window heat set to. Oh, it's on auto already. It's fine. It basically took us to green dot speed for the hold. Turn landing system at this point. And we are entering the hold. Are we entering the hold? Oh, I see. I thought we were going to be in... Oh, okay, got it. We'll be doing a left turn back into the inbound. Oh, it's so cool. The lighting is just so beautiful. Goodness. We'll set 1700, which is the intercept for the glide slope. Alright, we're back inbound FAMDA, which is just what we wanted. We'll go ahead and exit the hold. Or rather, can we just click in here? How do we actually get out of the hold? We just do direct FAMDA. Let's try that. Or just clear the hold. Clear that. That works. We're speeding back to 250 knots though, which is fine. And when we cross FAMDA, alright, localizers coming in. Alright, down we go. VNav. Oh, wrong one. VNav, there we go. Speed descents. And at this point, let's go ahead, activate the approach phase, and arm the approach. Cat 3 dual, thrust idle. Loke star, Loke. And slowing down to green dot. Radio altimeter is alive. Okay. Flaps checked. Sorry, flaps 1, speed checked, flaps 1. Alt star. Glide slope is armed. Flaps 2, speed checked, flaps 2. Ericsson traffic, Alaska 9084 on 10-mile final for the ILS runway 28, Ericsson traffic. Glide slope star. Gear down, spoilers armed. Lights. And we see the runway lights ahead. Glide slope. We'll get 3,000 feet for missed approach back in the box. Right, speed checked, flaps 3. And
1,000.
Flaps full, 1,000. Got a bit of a tailwind. See that the runway would have been ideal, but it didn't have the ILS. Butter or riot, fantastic. Yeah, it looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Thanks for reminding me to take a screenshot.
$500.
500, autopilot off. Yeah, the island is only 2 miles by 4 miles.
400.
Nice stable approach, this one.
100 above. Minimum
Continue.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Oof. Reverse green. I think I lost the descent rate right at the last moment. Decel. 70 knots. Rolling out. Yeah, maybe. I'll have to take another look at that. Oh, we made it though. Yeah, exactly. Didn't crash. Didn't bounce, that's right. But I'll have to check the landing rate. I don't see the landing rate pop on the screen like you guys do. So I always have to check after the fact. But I'll just do a wide turn here. I don't really see an obvious turnaround point. You too, Mo Daddy. Appreciate you joining for the whole flight tonight. That was it's been nice to have you aboard. And have a good week. Erickson traffic, Alaska 9084, back taxiing runway 28. Erickson traffic. Let's see. All right, so we're looking for Charlie. Let's see what Volanta had for a landing rate. Ah, it didn't say. Interesting. There should be Charlie coming up here. Yeah. Erickson traffic, Alaska 984 is clear of runway 28. Erickson traffic. Flaps are coming up. Unclear where to park, but we'll just wing it. You know what, I'll just assume that's a parking there. I'll just pull in left. Although actually I see a tug and vehicles down there, so yeah, we'll just go all the way down. Alright, landing lights can come off. TCAS can come off. Oh yeah, wants us to park by the hangars. That's all good. Stop the chrono. Pretty accurate on the timing. Oh, interesting. It wants us to come in. Basically wants us to follow the taxi line here. Okay. Start turning a little bit early because I don't want to hit anything. That's probably close enough. Alright. Parking brake cage. I did not activate the APU yet. But you know what? We'll cheat a little bit and we'll get the ground power connected. They probably wouldn't do this while the engines were running, but whatever. It's late. I'm tired. Alright. External power available. Engine 2, engine 1 coming off. Alright, well welcome to Erickson Air Station everyone. Let's do after landing checklist, flaps, spoilers, APU, radar, predictive windshield system, all done. Parking, APU bleed is off, engines off, seatbelts coming off. Exterior lights, beacons off. Fuel pumps can come off. Parking brakes on. Parking checklist completes. Alright, we can start shutting things down. My favorite part of the flight. Get that engine timer off. Engine runtime of 2 hours and 8 minutes. Come with the overhead here. Let's get the rest of these lights off as we prepare to shut back down to cold and dark. IRSs can shut down now as well. Packs come off, assuming everyone's off the plane. Shut that down. Let's get those stairs attached. It'll just look nice. Here they come. Alright, let's get these screens off. Alright, everything looks good to me. I think the last thing left to do, just do the checklist, securing the aircraft, brake temperature is fine, aiders are off, oxygen, APU bleed, emergency exit lights, signs and no smoking sign, APU and battery are all off. So actually, let's get those batteries off as well. And here comes the external power. And we're back to cold and dark, and here we are at Erickson Air Station in Alaska, back in the United States. Finally, we'll be continuing up the Aleutian Islands on our next flight, whenever that is, as we make our way back to Newark, New Jersey in about 10 flights from now, which is really exciting. Thanks again for joining me. This is Mike November Whiskey. Hope you had an excellent flight. Hope to see you next time on a future flight. But until then, have a wonderful week and see you soon. Cheers.